All right, welcome to Beta Boss. I'm here with my man Josh, and Josh has built a bunch of eight-figure brands. He owns a company called Four Sold. They have their hands into a lot of different pies, and very interesting cat. I met him at an event for e-commerce entrepreneurs about a month ago, and Josh is he's like he has wisdom beyond his years, and love to hear what he's got to say and how he built this company. So, Josh, without further ado, welcome to the show. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
you got it, man. Now you're out in Arizona. Beta to Boss is all about growing a company from from a small beta phase into a big giant enterprise. And I know you guys are involved in a lot of different things. So kind of give me the rundown on the Josh story, how you started and how you got to where you're at today.
Yeah, for sure. So I'll give you the clipped down version of it, kind of some of the good stuff. I started about 12, 13 years ago just because I wanted to make some money. I wanted to, initially I was trying to get a job and I was too young to get a job, and just wanted to make some money to help my family out. And at the time, I never thought about entrepreneurship, never thought I'd run my own business growing up as a kid, never crossed my mind, never talked about it. I actually wanted to do something in the medical space or something like that. I want to be a doctor. So I never thought I'd be an entrepreneur. But at the time, I was spending a lot of my afternoons and evenings, especially on the weekend, at the public library. And since my family didn't have a computer at home, I realized I had a fascination for computers. All my friends were playing video games, and I was trying to figure out how to make those video games. And so I kind of realized that I was thinking a little bit differently. Like, for example, my friends would be like, "Oh, I got these points. This is this." I was thinking through, like, how does the machine keep track of those points? And then how does it know when I come back and I log back into the game, how does it know that's my profile? Like, I was just thinking in that way. And so I was doing this competition at the library where you read books, you take a comprehension test, and you get points. And so I realized that if you read like the more boring books, that you would get more points. And so they obviously want to incentivize kids to read harder books. And so I was 13 years old at the time. And so I was reading the For Dummies books, all of the ones I could find. But the ones that really stood out to me were the ones like Programming for Dummies, Web Design, Web Development, Photoshop for Dummies. And so I started using the free resources at the library, the books, and I beat all the kids by far in this competition because I was getting 10 points at a time. They were getting 2 points at a time. And the For Dummies books had lots of photos in them. They were written for dummies, so they were easy for me to digest. And so I was just crushing it. And then after a while, I was like, you know what? I feel like I could make a website. This seems pretty easy after reading all this stuff. So I started creating my first few websites, my first few blogs. And then one day I got an email from a company, and I was writing all my own articles, everything. And I wasn't a big reader or writer at the time, but I realized I just enjoyed doing it. And so I started getting comments on my blog from people like all over the world. And like it made me feel really cool. And I kind of felt like I felt ownership over it. I felt attached to it. I had to write every day because people were waiting for me to come out with something.
How old were you at the time that you were doing this?
I was 13, 14 years old at the time.
That's nice. So you were still in middle school then, right?
Yeah, I was in 8th grade, and I was going into my freshman year of high school when I started making websites. And I would stay at the computer lab if I didn't have football practice. I would stay at the computer lab with the teachers, and they were like, "What are you working on? Like, what are you doing? You're not playing video games like all these other kids. Like, all these kids would stay after school and play video games, and you're like doing something. And like, what are you doing?" And I was like, "Oh, I'm programming. I'm making websites, and this, and my blog." And they were like, "Wow, like I have a friend that needs a website. Like, could you make one for them?" And I was like, "Sure." And I go, "Okay." And then they would be like, "How much are you going to charge for that? Or how much do you charge to make a website?" And I was like, I didn't know you could charge for this stuff. I was like, I thought this was just like asking me for a favor, like, "Hey, pass me the salt." And so that kind of clicked for me when I was like, wow, this is really easy for me because, I didn't know any better. You go into it ignorantly. You have big dreams as a kid. I was just in it. And once I realized I could make $500 a website, I was like, oh, gosh, this could be huge. So I was knocking out websites every weekend, and I was avoiding my friends. They wanted to party, and my football guys wanted to do this. And I never told anybody to this day Up until graduation, I don't think I told anybody what I was actually doing. And I started making really, really good money. But once I realized I could make money, I was good at it, and I enjoyed doing it, I was like, this is something that I can do to help my family out and make money. I can make websites and blogs. And that's when I found out Google AdSense, and I could make money on every click. But then I was like, I need more people clicking. And, initially you go through the mind, like, I remember thinking, if I go to every like library in the state and I click on my ads, I can make $10 a day or $50 a day. And then I was like, oh, I got it. Like, there's got to be a better way. And that's when I found out search engine optimization, because it was the only way for me to get more traffic for free. And I barely made enough money for me to buy my first computer. My parents helped me buy that first computer. So now I didn't just have 1 hour a day at the library or the school computers. I could work all night long. And so that to me was like a huge breaking point. That's how I got started into entrepreneurship, making money in the internet.
That's legit, man. That's legit. So did you actually, so you were making websites, you were actually duplicating this process for other entrepreneurs. Did you actually start developing too? When we started doing our stuff, I wish I had the development skills to code. Did you actually do a lot of that yourself?
Yeah, I did everything. Photoshop, Dreamweaver. Even back in the day, I was using Dreamweaver. Whatever software was on the computer, I would literally grab from the library. And I remember I'd have to use multiple library cards, because you could only get out like 5 books at a time or 8 books, something like that. Yeah. And I would use other people's library cards, so I could get, C# programming for dummies, JavaScript programming for dummies. I was just like, whatever it told me. For example, a client at the time, which was like one of my teacher's friends, would be like, hey, I want this calendar to be able to show our events, and I want to be able to put them in easily. And back then, WordPress was not huge. Shopify was not even invented. So like, you had to write the plugin, like you had to write the functionality. So I was like, as a young kid, you're just like, this person wants to pay me money to do something I don't know how to do. I got to figure it out. And so YouTube, Google, For Dummies books, all the reference books, I just figured it out. And before I knew it, I was like, I'm a really good programmer. Like, I can pretty much program anything. So he was like, that was a huge revelation. And then I needed to learn how to design as well, because I needed to build it in Photoshop, turn it into a page, and then build all the functionality on the back end, connect the databases, like all this stuff I was figuring out. And 99.9% of it was free. Like, literally, I could say I'll probably go down, 60 years from now and say, I built maybe multiple billion-dollar companies, or I've been a part of huge companies. And the basis of my education was self-taught and cost $0.
That's legit, man. That's legit. A lot of the stuff that you're saying that you want to do or you've done in your past, we're talking about, breaking down the barriers in everybody's mind, right? So people don't become entrepreneurs because they're scared or they figure it out. Like, they will think about worst case scenario, right? But that's a barrier in somebody's mind. Part of what you want people to realize is that there is no barriers, right? There's no barriers except for your own mental state. So talk to me a little bit about that and like that mission to help other people.
Well, I have to retrain myself on a daily basis, because it's easy for ego to want to get ahead of it. Like, the ego is very dangerous. And all my older mentors who I've met over the years, who have become really close friends, one thing they're always watchful of me of is just like, Josh, watch your ego, because that's the one thing that can destroy you, no matter how big you are, etc. And so for me, the way I keep myself in check is realizing that and reminding myself that I come from, very, very, very humble beginnings. None of my brothers and sisters graduated high school or went to college. And for me, and I was the youngest, so I grew up kind of having to face a lot of those adversities, and everybody's got their own story. And so you got to dig into what are those adversities, whether it's someone who didn't believe in you, or you were bullied, or like whatever it is, tapping into that like intense, like my number one trigger is doubt, like by far. And I figured that out by now. And I realized that even if I'm talking to
it's always doing, like, was there ever a point where like you were so paralyzed by that fear that you weren't able to do it? Or
yeah, I mean, multiple times. Because here's what happens is, like, people are like, oh my God, you started so young, like that's amazing. It is. And I'm like, it's the best blessing on earth. I agree. But also, in your mind, all of a sudden there's like this super high expectation where it's like Bill Gates was a billionaire by 26. Why am I not a billionaire? Like, or like it changes, like it's all mental. So even though it's like I just turned 26 a few weeks ago, and it's like, oh my gosh, and I'm like, I'm looking outside of my view right now and the place I live, and it's like, and the cars I drive, and like I'm amazing, but at the same time, my mind, I feel like a little peanut, and it's like, you know, it's one of those things, that limiting belief of like, can I, like, am I actually smart enough, good enough, like, do I have the grit in me? But I think for me is, I think back to those hard times when I was taking the city bus, you know, at 5 o'clock in the morning by myself, and with these big dreams in my head, and literally no money, no computer, no nothing. And I had these big dreams, and that fearlessness of saying, I have one life. What's the worst that's going to happen? I'm going to be broke again. I grew up without much money, and I was happy. Like, I figured it out. So that realizing that nothing is going to stop you, and that it's okay to hit rock bottom, and that I'm not afraid of that. But I also know, I think abundantly, where I'm like, I will always have something to eat. I will always have a home. I live in America, the best country on earth. I will always have something there, and I am a hustler. I will work hard. I will do whatever it takes so that I have food in my mouth. So if you accept that, and like, I will always be okay because I'm willing to work for it. And at the same time, I'm not afraid of what comes at me. So now when things happen in business, like, I grew up in a neighborhood where there was gang violence, everything, right? Prostitutes, drug dealers. Like, I would walk home from school, and I had to judge someone's character from 30 feet away because they're walking toward me. I'm like, is this person going to kill me, rob me, or shake my hand? Do I say hi? Do I not say? When you grow up in that environment of survival of the fittest, nothing scares you. And the thing is, you don't have to grow up like I grew up. You can mentally condition yourself to say, no, I'm not afraid of anything. Like, zeros and ones. Like, when I realized that I could make money instead of selling cocaine on the streets, that I could do zeros and ones. And like, my worst fear is like back pain. Like, oh, my back hurts a little bit. Oh, my mind. I'm like, oh my gosh, I see what other people have to do to make a living. Right. And I'm honored, and I am blessed, and I'm going to take this opportunity. And the last thing I'll say is, because I went through some depression after I sold my company. I was like 22.
Which company was this? This is because you have Four Sold now, right? So you had other was this the company?
Four Sold's the holding company. So we had a platform and a managed service that was attached to Four Sold. So we had hundreds of clients that we managed all of their ad spend. And this is before even Facebook was a huge platform. Google was our main thing. So we did SEO for Fortune 500s. We did ad spend management. And then I built a platform for media companies to be able to media plan for their clients and bring them over. So anyway, that started when I was 13. It just kept progressing until I was 22. But when I sold the company, I was like, okay, I've got all the cars I want. I've got the place, like I've got everything. And I'm like, I feel so empty. And I would lay in bed till 2 o'clock in the afternoon, not wanting to do anything, because you're like, what the hell do I do now? And that's when I realized, I was like, I gotta think way bigger. I gotta go after much bigger competitors, much bigger challenges, because if not, I will get depressed again. So for me, every day I wake up and I'm like, who wants it today? Like, I'm ready for it, because this literally gives me life. Like, I want to fight. Like, I wake up and I'm like, fight me. So like, literally the only thing that keeps me going.
I love it, dude. You know, like the stress beating out of your chest and like having that backwards ass feeling. That's what I said in an interview one time. I mean, it's kind of normal for me to be in that environment. It makes me feel good, like makes me feel alive. Whereas people want to live in a state that's comfortable, right? That there's not a lot going on. That's, you know, being comfortable is dying. You know what I mean? So what's next then? I mean, so if you have these just crazy ambitions and you're knocking shit out of the park. You built this company called Snow, which is obviously it's in the teeth whitening space, which I come from the processing space and the payment space, and that was always a dangerous place to live in, the teeth whitening space, for a long time. When did you get into that space, and what made you think that this was the opportunity that was going to, you were going to be able to build it into a huge brand?
So, I mean, we play, it's funny because I first got into it was 2009, 2010. And this is when the affiliate offers, I have a background in affiliate marketing, because what happened is I was building these blogs, using AdSense, and then using SEO to make them rank high. And then I was selling the websites on SitePoint, and then someone else would take them over and grow them. And so I was really good, like creating really strong content. They would rank, great websites, great design, boom, boom, boom. Then I was like, okay, there's got to be another way to make money. And so I don't tell a lot of people this story, but because I was selling a lot of sites on SitePoint, I had obviously a username. No one knew who I was, but and everything was done through PayPal, whatever. And so someone hit me up one day and they were like, hey, I see your reviews on SitePoint for selling sites. Like, you sell a lot of sites. Could you sell mine? And they thought like I was a broker or something. And I was like, sure. And like, okay, what do you charge? Boom, boom, boom. And I was like, I Googled it real quick. I was like, how much do people charge? And they're like 5%. I was like, 5%. Like, okay, that's standard. Cool. Like, let's do it. And so I had to create a perspective of like, how do you make money? How do you do this? And it was cool because I started to see behind the scenes of these $1 million blogs that were run by one person. I'm over here like, I'm like, what the heck? Like, it's the same blog that I have, but you make $1 million a year and I make 10,000 a year. Like, what's the difference? And I found affiliate marketing, lead generation. Instead of getting 1 penny a click, they were getting $40 a lead. And I was like, that changed the whole game for me. So then we, at the time, I was like, okay, I started selling those sites for those guys, started learning a lot. After a while, I was like, okay, I'm not a broker, like, leave me alone. And now I figured it out. So I remember at the time, there was an offer with the Kardashians. I think it was called like Idle White or something like this.
Sure.
And I was like, okay, I can rank for this. Like SEO and YouTube, I can dominate SEO on both of those. So I started to generate a lot of money delivering free trials for these teeth whitening offers.
Got you, yeah.
And all of a sudden, I mean, it was doing really well, excellent. And I've always been fascinated in teeth whitening anyway as an individual. But all of a sudden, all the offers went blank. Like everything closed down.
Lost all their mids, right?
Well, not just that. Jesse Wilms, who's in Canada, there's this whole thing out on the internet. Made $480 million, I think, in 2 years off of oolong tea or like the weight loss tea, teeth whitening, acai berry, and like just a few of those things. And so everything got shut down overnight.
Oh, this is when they did like they had two companies, right? Oh, dude, I totally get that. We were actually having dinner with the company that was doing the teeth whitening at the time, and then like literally the day before all this shit happened. So I know exactly what you're talking about. It's nuts.
It was an apocalypse. It was an apocalyptic shock, and it was like, holy shit. And I realized a few things at that moment. I realized I have to be in control of the product. I have to be in control. I have to move up the food chain. And I literally could not find the teeth whitening offer for 3 years. Like literally for 3 years after that. No, you could never run teeth whitening on Google. And still to this day. So anyway,
because of what those guys did, pretty much. Yeah, they destroyed them. Yeah.
I mean, and honestly, it's a very difficult space because you're on the borderline of like medical. It's not pharmaceutical.
It's high risk because you have claims associated, right? You want to make people's teeth white. Most of the products out there, they don't actually work, right? So,
exactly. Well, I had jaw surgery 2 years ago, or something like 2.5 years ago, and I had been researching. I knew about teeth whitening. I'd been researching the market, and I was like, what if I take the money that I have now that I didn't have back then, and I create real technology, own the patents, own the trademarks, bring on real dentists, real doctors, and bring on real celebrities, not just throwing Dr. Oz on a page and trying to run it, but like actually getting Dr. Oz as my equity partner and actually doing this. And so that was like kind of the thought. I was like, that sounds really good. Huge space. Okay. So then I got my dentist friends helping me out. We're formulating 6-9 months later. I'm like, okay, this is a really unique formula. It works every time. Like, I feel good about the formula. I want to sell something that works because I got to build something for 50 years.
Yeah. Exactly.
I was like, I got to run this thing for 50 years and I got to be able to put my face on it and I got to be able to tell everybody about it. If it doesn't work, I can't talk about it. So it's like, okay, so the formula was the first thing. Then the second thing was I went out and found the best engineers that I could find. And I was like, I don't care what I have to pay you. Here's what I'm trying to do. And they're like, I don't know anything about the beauty space. I was like, I know everything about the beauty space. You know technology. I have an engineering and programming background. We can jive. Let's figure this out. So together we started to figure out the technology that would bridge the gap. So beauty and tech, putting it together into oral care.
Love it.
And, you know, it just started to take off. And then the celebrities started like coming in by the hundreds, because what we have done is we have established a brand positioning like Louis Vuitton, Gucci. It's like no one can compete with us at this level because of the mass marketing we do at the positioning that we have, which sits right in between white strips and then the dental office treatments. Now we've got toothpaste, mouthwash, floss, gum, mints that are all rolling out. And now I'm going into a you know, big fundraising round, you know, the next 12 to 18 months, because I'm going to take this thing to IPO. I'm just going to, this is the Crest and Colgate of the modern day. Nobody has disrupted that space.
Yeah.
And we're with a wrecking ball, with all the celebrities, all the patents, all the technology, the design. It's sexy. You want it. You need it. It's affordable. It's like, it's got everything. So that's where that whole kind of, I finally created the ideal offer. Like if I was an affiliate, I wanted to create the dream affiliate offer with real celebrities. It actually works. Our return rate is less than 0.5%. So like our refund rate, chargeback rate, we don't even really have one. Like I've never lost an ad account. I've never lost a merchant account, but it helps when I call up and I'm like, you want to talk to Floyd Mayweather here? Or I'm like, you want to talk to the most renowned dentist in the world who's on our team here? And it's like, oh, you want me to spend $1 million a month? Not a problem. I'll guarantee it. Like when you have that type of power, we're literally the only brand that is whitelisted on multiple platforms. We're the only one that can run, like the only one.
Yeah, you don't have any competition inside of with the teeth whitening space, that's for sure.
Oh,
so,
yeah.
Yeah, man. No, this is legit, man. You guys built this over. So what is the? I mean, is there a plan when you take this IPO eventually when you're going to exit this? Is that the plan? Is at some point?
I mean, it's like it's something I've never done before. So every single business, I started with $100 a long time ago and just rolled everything back. And that's how you go beta the boss.
Yeah.
You go balls to the wall.
Deep.
You put everything on the table. You put every dollar back in. I don't care if I have to sleep in the street. If I have to, I literally have taken my shirt off and like given it to an employee. Like I've literally, like you have to be all the way to the fucking wall because you realize you can't do this on your own. And what you can get to $1 million on your own, but eventually you get to $1 billion, you have to have incredible people working with you. Yeah. And you have to be that leader, that dream leader that people want to be behind. And you've got to be fearless, relentless. You got to know more about I obsess over my competition, my markets. Like I'm obsessed. I just dream about it. I think about it. When I shower, I'm thinking about it. When I'm thinking about it. And so the plan long-term, you know, we have another company called David, and David plays in the financial services space, particularly in the subprime area, another very taboo kind of hands-off, like, oh my gosh, scary market. What we're doing is we're taking brand, celebrity, and real technology and infusing that into markets that are normally taboo, like debt relief, right? We're taking, you know, we're going in 300 million a year of debt within the first 2 years, last year alone, that we're a juggernaut on the front end in the debt relief space already. Now we're infusing and we're buying up the value chain, the food chain, the same way I did when I was 13 to 22. And it takes time. It's focus, be fearless. Focus is probably like when people say, what's one tip you would give people? I'm like, honestly, nobody likes to hear it. It's the F word. And they're like, what, fuck? I said, no, not fuck. It's focus. Because if you don't focus, you'll fuck us. Because focus is the only thing that you need. And I study owls, like weird shit. I'm not that much of a weirdo, but I studied weird shit like owls, of how they hunt. They have fucking perfect focus on their prey, that their hit ratio is like perfect because they're so focused. And for me, I'm not trying to swing at every fucking ball. I'm waiting for that home run. And that's how you kill shiny object syndrome. You're like, can I do this for 10 years? Am I going to feel sloppy or dirty or slimy if I do this? Can I tell my mom about it? Can I tell my sister about it? Can I run a Super Bowl commercial with it and be proud of it? Like thinking through that, especially on the brand, direct to consumer, B2C side, like that's very, very important to me. All of a sudden, every opportunity, I'm like, can I make $1 billion a year, or can I take this public and only have 2% of the market?
Yeah.
That cuts out 90% of opportunities that come across my table.
No, I mean, and that's kind of along the same lines as we looked at building out our payments companies, kind of along those same lines as well. The opportunity and what you can make long term, and can you exit with a lot more money than you came in with? If those are all lining up, then there's a good opportunity for you guys to proceed. Josh,
well, you got a great business because you're like Visa. One of like my favorite businesses in the world, aside from banks, are Visa, MasterCard.
Yeah.
Like the best business probably in the world.
Yeah.
I literally can't think of a better business other than being in Saudi Arabia and owning all the land for oil. I can't think of another business where you sit in between of every. The only other better business there is the IRS. Takes 30% of everything you make, no matter who you are, where you live.
Yeah. The best is just to be on both sides of it. So like when we built it out, we're on the acquiring and the issuing side. So we issue cards. So we make interest and as well as an interchange basis points on the back and then interchange in the front. So, and the gateway.
You guys figured it out. You guys figured out the Warren Buffett model. It's like, it's brilliant. And that's what we're doing, right? So we're, one of the things that we're working on is we're going to be able to, because of our platform, we know more about somebody's mouth than anybody else, and dentists do.
The data is worth a lot of money. Yeah.
You can imagine when you think about insurance and you think about pharmaceutical, how valuable that data is.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking at. And if you look at multiples when we IPO, you're looking at software multiples, insurance multiples, pharmaceutical multiples.
Yeah. So we actually are involved in a watch company that takes the pulse and actually can intravenously look at a person's health in real time. They built it for the elderly, but they're having military applications for it as well. But the data inside of that is so valuable to the insurance companies and all these other companies that want a piece of that pie. That's really the back end business model is the data itself. So there's just so much that we can keep on talking about. Josh, you're amazing, man. You got so much stuff going on. Love to jive with you more and learn more about your business on a personal level. And I need to get one of those snow teeth whitening kits, bro, too, so I can be a walking spokesperson for you guys.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we'll hook you up. We've got one coming out. We're doing a show with 2 Chainz or whatever. We took one of our new, we got 5 global patents on this thing, and we dipped it in gold, covered it in crystals.
Yeah.
And we've already sold a couple of units. It wasn't supposed to be a joke. Like the device actually works, but it goes to show you that people have been starved for so long in the oral care space for a premium product. Louis Vuitton sells out trash cans. Like they'll, Supreme, a shovel for like, I don't know how much money, and it's sold out in 3 seconds. It's nuts.
It's totally ridiculous. I mean, there's a market, and you guys created this $10,000 teeth cleaning product, and I'm sure it's pretty baller and it works, but everything that you guys are doing is next level. So, you're the man. I look forward to seeing you in San Diego. You're going to be down there talking. If people want to get a hold of you or your companies, Josh, how do they do that?
So trysnow.com. I'm going to create a coupon code. I'll send it to the team right now. Beta the boss. I'll hook you guys up. Trysnow.com. Check out our products on there. If you want to follow me right now, the most active space I'm on is if you want to find like my presentations and things that I do, YouTube, just Googling my name. Otherwise, Instagram, I'm Joshy the Snowman on there. So I've been kind of having fun on Instagram. It's the platform right now. We buy a lot of media on there, so I try to consume while we're buying media. Other than that, I don't tweet. I don't really post. I mean, Facebook I post on there too, but I would say Instagram, Joshy the Snowman, and then trysnow.com.
You heard it here first, Joshy the Snowman. Josh, great. It's been a pleasure, man, and I'll see you in San Diego, boss.
See you, brother. Thank you.